to kind of hear about your personal story. Okay. So I want you to start with before the business started and everything that you're doing right now. We're going to kind of go back to I'm Not Dumb, I'm Dyslexic, your book. Okay. So can you take us back to when things began to click for you? Okay. Because I know you kind of had to self-diagnose yourself at one time. So when you started to recognize your strengths and not just when did you, should I be asking, start to recognize your strengths and not just your challenges?
Well, I would say both my strengths and my challenges shined through when I was about 9 or 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll take you back to when I was in elementary school.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So I was when I was a child, I could not read. I When I had to do the vision tests at a much older age than the average person, they still had to show me the pictures that the little preschoolers use for eye tests because I couldn't identify the letters. So that's the farthest back I remember having challenges. And my mother, who was a teacher and was diagnosed with dyslexia in the 40s, had no clue what dyslexia looked like in a human being. She just had this label and she knew she struggled in school. And so they said I had a reading disability. And I got held back in third grade. I do not recommend parents hold back kids. That did not help me one bit. It actually made everything worse because I went to a small school and there was only like one class. Maybe that one had 2 classes per grade. I can't remember. But anyway, it was a small school. And so I watched all my classmates move up from third grade to fourth grade, and I did not move up. I had to do third grade again. Well, I started acting out. I started fighting the boys and the kids. I spent almost every day in the principal's office that year. Now, I did have a tutor who came to the school and she taught me how to read. So I did learn how to read that year.
Okay, that's nice.
And after I learned I was always good with math, but I couldn't read, so I wasn't able to do the other subjects very well. So once I learned how to read and my mom decided to move me to a different school, I ended up skipping fourth grade because I was able to go into the right grade because now I could read.
Yeah.
So when I was 10 years old, I went to a new school and I met my best friend, and I'm from New York City. So, most people have seen movies about Soho and the docks, right? The big metal docks. And that used to be the commercial area in New York City. And so across the street from my best friend's house was a factory, and they made these little teeny books, and they were plastic. They're the kind of things you would buy in China now, but back then they made them in America. And her and I dug these little books out of the trash across the street because New Yorkers like to dig through the trash. That's just something like we like to do. Okay, so anyway, we dug through the trash and we pulled out all these books that they had thrown out. And we sat on her dock and we sold them to passerbyers for 25 cents.
Okay.
So
you was an entrepreneur at a young age, huh?
That is my point. So that's my strength. My strength is I am an entrepreneur, and my entrepreneurial career began at age 10. When I was 11, I got my first job and I rode my bike a mile from my apartment to the South Street Seaport. And I worked for this lady during the summer, and so she took a break and I would sell her stuff. So I started doing sales at 11 years old. And and so I have, those are two of my strengths. My third biggest strength is organizing stuff. And when I was 13 years old, my parents were divorced by then. And my mom had a birthday coming up and I wanted to throw her a birthday party. And I said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And she said, "A man." I went out to the payphone. I called all of her friends and invited them to this surprise party I threw her and hired her a stripper with my money. And the stripper came and he said, "You are the youngest person to have ever hired me." And I paid him like $120. And this was back in like 1980 something.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Back then anyway.
But I had saved all that money from my little jobs I had had. So those are my three strengths that, other than parenthood and teaching, that I developed at a very young age.
Okay, that's amazing.